All right, let's just dive right into this explainer and tackle the big question that's probably on your mind right now. Which of these $20 a month premium AI chatbots actually deserves your hard-earned money? Today, we're throwing the absolute biggest names in the industry into the ring to definitively crown the best AI bot for the everyday consumer. We're talking accuracy, speed, and real-world usefulness. The stuff that actually makes your life easier. To get our answer, we're going to run these bots through a brutal AI report card covering 5 main areas. We've got meet the contenders, logic and problem solving, product research and fact-checking, the generation game, integrations and user experience, and finally, the final verdict. Let's do this. All right, Section 1, Meet the Contenders, the heavyweights of AI. So we're looking at the top 4 AI assistants aimed at consumers, and what's really fascinating here is how each one brings a totally unique selling point to the table. You've got ChatGPT from OpenAI, basically the industry standard. Then Google Gemini, which leans super heavily into those Google Workspace integrations. We've also got Perplexity, pitching itself as the go-to for trusted, well-sourced answers. And rounding it out is Grok from xAI, trained right on unfiltered, real-time data from X. Moving on to Section 2, Logic and Problem Solving, testing the AI brain. We're kicking things off with a deceptively simple math and spatial reasoning test. We need to see if these hyper-intelligent models can actually grasp the physical world. The prompt was super straightforward. I drive a 2017 Honda Civic. How many 29-inch hardshell suitcases can fit in the boot? Now, in the real world, if you actually want to close the trunk door, the answer is exactly 2. Let's see how our bots handled it. And wow, does this illustrate how sometimes less is so much more. ChatGPT, Gemini, and Perplexity just totally overcomplicated things. They spit out paragraphs of crazy math, hallucinating space that just doesn't exist. ChatGPT and Gemini guessed 3 suitcases, and Perplexity completely whiffed it, guessing up to 4. But Grok literally just answered 2. Complete confidence, no messing around. Nailed it. Okay, let's play a quick interactive game for this next test. Imagine you're running an airbase. Your combat planes keep returning with bullet holes all over the wings and the fuselage. Take a second. Where do you think the engineers should add extra armor based on that damage? If your gut just told you to reinforce the wings where the bullet holes are, well, you'd be wrong. If you guessed the areas without bullet holes like the engine and cockpit, congratulations, you successfully avoided what's known as survivorship bias. The planes hitting the engine simply didn't make it back. And honestly, color me impressed, because all 4 AIs flawlessly spotted this logical trap. They've definitely got some serious critical thinking chops. All right, Section 3, Product Research and Fact-Checking, the Hallucination Station. So, can you actually trust these things to recommend stuff for you to buy? Spoiler alert, it was absolute chaos. We gave the AIs a pretty standard shopping task for earbuds, but adding specific constraints like red, active noise cancellation, and a strict under $100 budget turned out to be a massive trap that just completely broke their logic. The big takeaway here? AIs are still terribly unreliable personal shoppers. I mean, look at this. Google Gemini literally invented a future Sony earbud, the XM6, that does not even exist yet. Grok suggested some soundpeats that absolutely do not come in red. And Perplexity? It got so hung up on a previous prompt about baking a cake that it literally started giving advice on buying red packaging for dehydrated mushrooms. You just can't make this stuff up. Now, while the shopping test was a total train wreck, they did totally redeem themselves when it came to fact-checking. We asked them to verify a rumor about a Samsung and Tesla collaboration phone, and all 4 universally clocked it as fake internet news right away. Gemini and Grok even managed to successfully trace the original source of the manipulated image. So, credit where credit is due. Next up, Section 4, the generation game, creativity and content. We wanted to see who actually has the best creative chops for text, images, and video, so we started with travel planning. We asked for a 5-day foodie trip to Tokyo. ChatGPT delivered a flawless, fluff-free itinerary, breakfast, lunch, dinner, all perfectly laid out. Gemini, on the other hand, a total mess. Tons of unnecessary fluff, and for some reason, it wanted us eating a first lunch at 5 p.m. and a second dinner at 8 p.m. Not exactly ideal. Things got incredibly weird, though, when we moved over to image generation. The prompt was simple enough. Generate a YouTube thumbnail of a tech reviewer holding cheese, but give the person a lazy eye. We just wanted to see how they handled manipulating a very specific physical trait. Well, every single AI failed this in its own uniquely bizarre way. ChatGPT straight up refused to distort appearances negatively. Grok clearly had zero clue what a lazy eye actually looks like. And Perplexity? It literally gaslit us, claiming it couldn't generate or edit images right after it had literally just done exactly that in the previous step. But when we jump into AI video generation, looking at ChatGPT's Sora model versus Gemini's Veo 3, the difference is absolute night and day. ChatGPT pumped out this silent, haunting video where the cheese moved really unnaturally. Google, though, completely blew it out of the water. We got an incredibly high-quality video, complete with a realistic voiceover reviewing the cheese's firm build quality and mouthfeel. Gemini easily snatched the point on that one. Which brings us to Section 5, Integrations and User Experience, living in your ecosystem. Because look, being smart is one thing, but being practically useful day-to-day is another entirely. Gemini takes a massive lead if you already live inside Google Workspace, seamlessly pulling live data from Maps and YouTube. ChatGPT really shines with its deep integrations into Dropbox and GitHub, plus that huge library of custom assistants, like having a dedicated Pokemon competitive battling advisor. Grok leans heavily on its real-time access to X, while Perplexity wins for giving clear, consistently sourced links for every single answer. User experience is also about how natural it feels to actually interact. If you're someone who likes talking out loud to your phone in voice mode, ChatGPT and Gemini are currently the only two that actually sound like natural, interruptible human beings. Perplexity and Grok, they unfortunately still give off a pretty heavy, robotic, text-to-speech vibe. And here we are, Section 6, the final verdict, crowning the champion. This is the climax of our explainer. We've tallied up the points across 17 intense questions, covering everything from math and translations to poetry and deep research, and it's time for the final scores. ChatGPT takes the undeniable crown. It scored 29 points, proving to be the most consistent, well-rounded assistant. But the real shocker? Grok pulling into a very surprising second place with 24 points, proving it's incredibly fast. Gemini takes third with 22, and Perplexity brings up the rear at 19. Of course, price is the final piece of the puzzle here. Nearly all of these premium tiers are going to demand $20 a month from your wallet. The exception is Grok, which sets higher at $30. That pretty much cements ChatGPT as the absolute smartest, most capable financial choice for the average consumer right now. But this whole massive test leaves us with one seriously important takeaway. As we saw in that shopping test, AI will confidently present you with fake red earbuds and imaginary mushroom packaging without blinking an eye. Until these bots can develop a reliable certainty score to stop hallucinating so confidently, we really have to ask ourselves, are we actually ready to let AI handle our digital lives? Think about that before handing over your credit card. Thanks for joining this explainer, and remember to keep questioning the tech you use.